Hello Fit Family. Today I'm going to show you how I make my favorite hummus. I make this about once a week and I go through all of it, dipping my flaxen Malay tortilla crackers in there, or Ezekiel 4-9 tortillas that I make chips out of in the oven with no oil, no salt. I just put them in the oven for about 6 minutes, twice. I flip the trays around in between at 400 degrees, come out perfect every time, and I have my chips for my hummus. But anyway, this cookbook I have loved. I've gotten so many recipes out of it, but the one I've used the most is, and this is called Be a Plant-Based Woman Warrior. The Usselton Foundation and family, especially Jane and Ann, have put together these recipes and they're delicious. And if you have the book at home, you can follow along on page 91, and it's their Hummus We Love. Now I've changed the way their basic recipe is a little bit, and I really like it, and of course you can make it your own too. But I'll tell you what the recipe has in it, and then you can do it exactly like they have, or the variations, or you can make it your own, like I did. So the recipe calls for a 15-ounce can of garbanzo beans, and use no salt, or your own if you cook them yourself with no salt added. I use an organic brand, and there's very low salt in it. But I've already drained. I'm going to double the recipe. So I've already drained 1 can because I found that the aquafaba, which is the liquid that the beans are in, the amount they call for is very small amount, not even 1 can for me, because I like it thick. So I've already got 1 of the cans drained. I'm going to put those in the blender. And for the second can, I'm going to place the colander on top of the can when I drain the other one, so I can save the juice. The aquafaba is what it's called. So doing that. Now if you're only doing a single recipe, you would want to reserve the juice from that first can. All right, let's put this in there. This is so quick and easy. It does not take much time at all. So there's my juice in the can. The next thing it calls for is 2 cloves of garlic. I traditionally, I guess if you were following it exactly, you would put 4 cloves. I don't like mine that garlicky, so 2 cloves for a double batch is enough for me. And it calls for 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I squeeze my lemons a whole bag at a time, so I put them in an ice cube tray. And so 1 of these cubes equals 1.5 tablespoons. I'm gonna actually put 4 of these cubes in, which would be 6 tablespoons, but I like it extra lemony, so that's just me. That's probably why I don't need as much liquid of the aquafaba. All right, so the next ingredient is low sodium tamari, and I have the Sanjay brand, and I don't really measure it. I just kind of 1 to 2 tablespoons, so I'm doing 2 to 4. I'm just gonna pour a little bit in there. Looks good to me. 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. Again, I'm not measuring. I've made this so many times. I just dump a little in. And it calls for hot sauce. Instead of using hot sauce, I grew a lot of jalapenos in my garden. So I just put jalapenos in there instead of hot sauce. And these are halves that I cut and froze. I'm gonna put I like mine spicy, so I'm gonna put 6 or 8 in there, depending on the size. This will all grind up nicely. Now I also, for my flavor, they suggest either lemon, balsamic, or black bean as alternatives. Their traditional one doesn't have any flavor, but I love red pepper hummus. I didn't roast them, but I have some frozen. So I'm gonna throw a few red peppers in there. It'll still, even though they're not fire roasted, it'll still give them a nice flavor and add some color. All right. It's just, I'll tell you, this is the best way to preserve, peppers is to slice them and freeze them. I did dehydrate some, and oh my gosh, they're so good that way too. They're like little chips you can add to salads or just eat them out of the jar. Wonderful. And the last thing I'm gonna add is, you know, a lot of hummuses add olive oil. And with, you know, doing the whole food plant-based eating with and no added oil, I'm just putting, you know, 4 or 5 olives in there to give it that same, kind of flavor that you would get by adding olive oil. And I think olives are safer, my opinion, than having processed oil. I don't have heart disease, so you know, if you have heart disease and you're trying to reverse it, you certainly wouldn't want to put the olives in there because they can block the nutrients from getting into your cells. So, oh, now we have to add the aquafaba. Now I've got about, I would say 1/3 of a can. I'm gonna add most of it. I don't put all of it in because I find it's plenty, the texture is very good the way it is. So sorry about the noise, but I'm going to run this so you can see what happens and how quickly this comes together. And then if it's not thin enough, I'll have a little extra to add. So here we go. That makes a beautiful thick hummus that will last in your fridge for about a week. So gobble it up and enjoy. So good. Bless. Have a great day.